I was ready to destroy somebody who hurt me. And I was so hurt by their behavior towards me at a time when I was very vulnerable that I really wanted revenge. I wanted revenge on them for being such beep, beep. You know, it's on two words that you put together. It starts with an A, ends with an E, if you get what I'm saying. But what I realize and what I've come to understand when it comes to revenge is that the only person that it would have affected and ruined slowly would be me. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl Keemah.G. Who else would it be? And I am back again. A next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed or followed me on social media, do so now. You can follow me on TikTok. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram, and it's Keemah.G, Keemah.G. And if there's anything in here in this video that you related to, that spoke to your journey, spoke to your heart, leave a comment below. Let me know. Let's start having a conversation below. And please, it may not be for you, this video, but after watching it, because I hope you stay till the end, after watching it, it may be for somebody else. So I just encourage you and ask that you share it, hit the like, thumbs up button, because we all know that when the more you like it, the more it engages, the more YouTube puts it in the algorithm, and the more we're able to share our journeys and our lessons learned. There's more videos and interviews coming with some very interesting people that I respect, and I'm very excited to get them on the platform. And that's what we guys that's what we guys that's what I have coming for you guys. So stay with me for a bit longer and let's get into this episode. So have you ever been so hurt by a person that you want them to feel the pain? Have you ever? That's my question for you right now. And I'm sure many of you that's watching this video and listening right now is going to agree that there have been times where the hurt and the disappointment and the pain has been so deep that they want to get revenge so that person could feel exactly the way that they made them feel. I'll give a quick example, and then after, I'm going to give you guys my own story and what I've learned about revenge and the power of letting go. You know, I always speak about the power of letting go. It's tough, but it's a real thing, and it brings more peace in your life. For example, your man cheats on you or your woman cheats on you, bun for bun. You know, you ever Jamaicans will say that, me give him bun for bun. I gave him bun for bun. So he cheated on me, I cheated on him, you know? And you oftentimes want to do that because it's so hurtful. It's like it's deceitful, it's betrayal. You stepped outside of our union. And it's like sometimes you think that getting that person back validates you in some sort of way or validates your pain. But the reality is, it really doesn't validate the pain. If anything, I have learned from just other people's experience and seeing things in my life, it only makes things worse. So I did want that revenge. And I wanted that revenge because despite me letting go of the disappointment that person had caused in the past and saying, okay, we can move forward into a friendship, that person still did something to be like, you're just a miserable, selfish, nasty person. And right now, I want you to feel exactly what you're making me feel. So let me give you the story. I lost somebody, maybe like, oh my God, well, a few people I lost, but maybe 13 years ago. And I had shared it before, 13 on this channel, 13 years ago. And I watched that person take their last breath, right? So that was my first time ever seeing someone die. I've never seen that in my life, you know. I've seen a lot of things, but that changes you. I left that hospital that day and I was in shock. I was in disbelief, and I think I was in denial. My family, they had their own immediate family and their kids and their husbands and their boyfriends and stuff. So they all had to go home and be with their family, but I was single. I had no children. I was going home by myself. And the last person that I was close to was the person that I was dating months ago, that I had decided, and we had decided that we'll be cool. We'll let things go in the past and we'll move forward and we can be chill with each other. So I called that person because I just felt like that was a relationship that we had. Like that person will call me about everything that was going on still. And I'm just a person, I'll listen. And if I can help you through it, I'll help you through it, you know? So that person came over, but I think what I don't think I know now to be true is that they had different intentions. And when those intentions weren't met, their behavior was so hurtful and disrespectful that the first thing I thought when that person left was like, to get my, I want to get my lick back. You know what I'm saying? I want to hurt that person because at a vulnerable moment like this, when you could just be supportive, when you could just be a decent human being, you're deciding to act in the most selfish ways ever. I didn't speak to that person. I did not. Like, I did not speak to that person for months, but I had that need for revenge. Oh, there was so many things that were transpiring through my mind. And it's like in a moment when you lose one of the closest person to you or the one like some dear people in your life, you just anybody that crosses you at that moment, they could get the cut off. You know what I'm saying? They could get dealt with, you know? And I felt like that gangster, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I didn't even know that gangster lived in me, you know? But that's how I felt. I was just like, I want my revenge. I and the reason why I wanted my revenge in that situation is because I already had to let things go to go high when he went low. Like literally, I've always been the person to turn the cheek. But I'm like, this turning of the cheek and going high when they go low, sometimes I want to go low. If they go low, sometimes I want to go to hell. You know what I'm saying? And just do what I need to do and just hopefully God pulls me out of there. You know, like honest to God. But there was a turning point for me after I had those feelings of revenge because I'm like, that's not who I am. So I'm the type of person I'm just gonna move forward and just let you be, you know? But that hurt was just, you know what I mean. I think I've already explained it. I just really wanted him to feel exactly what I was feeling in that moment. I wanted him to understand that that disrespect and your nasty behavior, you get what I'm saying, was really uncalled for at a moment when I was so vulnerable and weak. And I can't stand the people that take advantage of people who are weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because I'm going through that doesn't mean you have to be an asshole on top of that. Don't kick me while I'm down. You know what I'm saying? But, anyways, moving on, there's definitely a turning point. So, after me getting on the phone with my spiritual mama, praying and venting about the situation and saying how much I wanted to get revenge, she said to me that vengeance is not yours. And you don't have to feel that way. And she brought me to the scripture. Now, if you are not biblical, if you don't follow God, that's perfectly fine. But sense makes sense. You know what I'm saying? If you believe in a higher power, if you believe that your life is being governed by something, I believe it's God, but whatever you believe it, this is still for you. But if you believe your life is being governed by something, that means that there's someone walking your steps for you, you know? And there's someone guiding you. I believe that is God for me. And she brought me to the scripture, Romans 12:9. I wrote it here. It says, Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And at that moment, I'm just like, Miss V, I don't really want to hear this. You know, when you just want to be in your anger, like you just want to be in your anger, in your frustration, in your like anger, and just sit there for a bit, you know, which is okay, but you can't stay there. But I was sitting there on the phone. And she said, Vengeance is not yours, vengeance is the Lord. And the more you roll it over to the Lord, is the more you're going to see how God removes those feelings from you and allows you to grow from this situation. But once again, I was always, and I was struggling with letting go at that time because letting go for me felt like a weakness in certain situations. And I felt like this one needed justice. Like, you know, I felt like this one needed justice. I'm not turning the other cheek. Tired of doing that. You know what I'm saying? Let him feel. But I've come to understand in me wanting to seek that vengeance because I felt bad after because I'm like, that's not me. So for me to be that deep in it, it means that it really hurts. And yeah, it really hurts because how can you abandon someone at their weakest moment, be an asshole to somebody at their weakest moment? Like that was a very weak moment. And I realized that it's just better I let it go because it's not a weakness letting go. It's surrendering the justice to God. It's trust and it's strength. And oftentimes we get caught up in emotions, especially us women. Let's be honest, women, we're emotional beings, and that's how God created. It's okay, but we have to have control over it most times. And we get so caught up in our emotions that we forget to think logically. This turning point for me is when my emotions shifted from anger to conviction. When I was able to just leave it over and lean it on God and say, "You deal with him," the conviction was happening. You know what I'm saying? But I won't say that that came easily. I'm not going to say that that came easily, because there is the internal battle that happens when you let go, especially when someone has done wrong to you and you know you could get them back in ways that will hurt them. Like, there's an internal battle that happens because pride, ego, wanting that validation for your pain all sets in. It all sets in. It all feels stronger than anything than letting go. It feels justified. You know what I'm saying? But it's not really justified, and that's what I've learned. But there is that internal battle. But I what I've learned on my journey is that once you're able to get over that internal battle, once you're able to identify that this is my pride, this is my ego, once you're able to rationalize within yourself and say to yourself, okay, even if I go and I get my revenge on that person for how they made me feel, how is that going to serve me? You know what I'm saying? How is it going to bring me peace? Once you're able to decide in your mind and take it to your heart, because your heart could play tricks on you sometimes, but in your mind, then you're able to bring it down to your heart and find that compassion. It starts to make you realize that if somebody is going to do me like that and act like that, they must be really not happy with themselves. You start to really understand the true understandings and dynamics of people's behaviors, and you start to detach yourself for the reason as to why they're behaving like that. So that's when you get out of the pride and you get out of the ego, that's when the internal battle stops and you no longer have those feelings of revenge anymore. But instead, you start to more grasp and get peace. But for me, it took a little bit of time. You know what I'm saying? It took me about 3 months to like let go of that idea that if I ever see him, I'm not going to puncture his tires. um, so, what I've learned in the end when I started to let go of the idea and the thoughts of wanting to get revenge is that revenge is a temporary satisfaction and trusting God is a lasting peace. And I wanted a lasting peace. I did not want no temporary satisfactions for the emotions that I was having at that moment, because emotions don't last forever. That's fleeting emotions. Emotions are fleeting. That's what it is. Like, emotions are fleeting. They don't last forever. And I knew that it was going to pass. If I had acted out on what my emotions was and what I was feeling towards that person in that time, I would have had that temporary satisfaction, but I probably wouldn't have had peace. Revenge makes you feel powerful for a moment, but powerless long term. And that's the thing that I had to remind myself. I had to ask myself, when you look back 20 years from now, do you want to look back with regret because you didn't act in your true character? Or do you want to look back saying that I remained true to myself? And by me not seeking revenge was remaining true to myself. And I got so many things and stories to prove to that statement. There's many people that have screwed me over. There's many people who have lied, manipulated, stabbed me in the back, especially when we're younger, because we're mature and we're dumb. We don't know what we're doing. Our emotions are taking the best of us. But I had to let go of a lot of things. I didn't do them how they did me. you know I was raised like that, and I'm proud to say that I was raised like that. Have I hurt people unintentionally? Yes, I have, because I'm not perfect. But I do know that revenge is not something that sits well on your heart as you grow older. And as I'm growing older, I want life to get easier and simpler, not harder. You know what I'm saying? It already started off rocky. Some of us, it started off rocky, so why don't it end smooth? So, what happened when I got over those thoughts of revenge and I let it go, the idea? This is the payoff. This is the payoff when you don't seek revenge. You experience peace. That's the number one thing. You experience peace. Your heart is at ease. You're more calmer. you know, um, you're not seeking that validation anymore. Everything about the situation no longer affects you, and that's your peace. When you lean it over onto God and when you let it go, God handled it in a way that you couldn't. Let's be honest. Like, whatever you sow, like I said in the beginning, you're going to reap, you know? This is the reasons why we should follow a narrow path, because if you are a believer, and what I am coming to learn on my spiritual walk with God is that He's telling us not to do certain things, you know, not to act in certain ways, because what you sow, you will reap. And God sometimes has to show people, you know, this is what you did, and this is what went wrong, and this is why you're experiencing that now. So God handles it way better than you would have ever handled it, especially for my believers. And if you're not a believer, it's okay. But just listen to what I'm saying, because maybe if you listen to what I'm saying, you might start to believe. The other payoff is when you learn to let it go, is like I similar to sowing seeds, people naturally receive their consequences, especially when there's no type of accountability. You know what I'm saying? I think there's some form of forgiveness in this spiritual realm when you take some form of accountability, but when you don't take any form of accountability, you naturally there's natural consequences, you know? Once again, what you sow, you will reap. So you better be sowing some good seeds, okay? I'll be saying that the whole video, but you get what I'm saying, right? And lastly, when the payoff for me, especially, is that I did not get bitter. I did not get bitter. I got better. I got happier, and my standards became more clear moving forward from that situation. So that's the payoff. You know, when you just don't go out there seeking revenge and doing them like they did you. Because at the end of the day, two wrongs don't make a right. And you watch the people who walk around selfish, miserable, treating people any way they want. Their life is not going well. They may look like it's going well. They may be shining on the outside, but inside their souls and their spirits are just rotten. So, what do you want? That's just the question, you know? Do you want peace? Or do you want misery? I want peace, you know? And like I said before, it started off rocky when I was younger. Why don't it end smooth? And if I have to follow a narrow path and I have to do that internal work, I have to let things go most of the time so that I can receive that peace. I'm learning on this long journey from the day I said I'm going to take my walk and work on myself, get to know what God is to me, understand the word. From the day I decided to do my walk, the most biggest lesson in every situation God has been trying to show me is let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Trust me, trust me. You know, and my biggest thing on my journey is learning to trust. But that's another video too. So here are some takeaways from today. This is what I had to write. I really wanted to write this one out because I wanted to be clear for you guys to receive something when it comes to revenge. This is the part where I didn't want to freestyle on. This is the part that I wanted to meditate on. So I'm going to share with you some of the giveaways from this whole topic on revenge and why you have to let it go. Even if you have revenge and you want to seek revenge, it's just better to let it go when you are hurt and don't make them feel the hurt that you feel. And let me tell you why. Revenge keeps you emotionally tied to the person. I was meditating on this. When you're going back and forth and you're trying to get tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat with a person when they're hurting and you guys are both hurting each other, you're only staying tied to the toxicity. You ever see those relationships where they're 7, 10 years in and all it is drama? There's physical abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's cheating, there's this, there's that. They're going back and forth and they continue to stay tied together. Of course, you're going to continue to stay tied together. And what only happens is that your life only slows down. You don't evolve. You're miserable. You're unhappy. So, no, I'm learning and I've always knew, but those moments when I had the desire to seek revenge because I was hurt, deeply hurt by a person, I look back now and I say, thank you, God, that I let go of it. Thank you. Because I've learned to evolve past those circumstances. And that's even better than me getting a one up. or me getting them back. Like I feel so much more better because when something doesn't have any effect on you, that's free. Another takeaway that I want to share with you from this lesson on revenge and why it's important to let go is that forgiveness frees you. Like I was telling you before, I do believe that forgiveness is for yourself and for the other person. But when you have forgiven that person and when you truly forgive that person, you have no desire to seek revenge. And in a way, it liberates you from that situation and it liberates that person as well because that person that that did that acted very disgustingly that night or that evening, um they looked back on it and they told me that they couldn't believe that that was their behavior. And I had to tell that person maybe 6 years ago. I was just like, you know what? I met that person and I was like, it's okay. Like, I'm done with that. I'm over with that. Like, I forgive you. Like, I've forgiven you a long time ago. But in a way, I kind of freed him too because he had that on his heart, you know, of how his behavior was so despicable. So that's something that you have to keep in remind yourself when you're about to seek revenge, you want to seek revenge, you have those desires in your mind and your heart because you're just so tired of people walking on you like you're a doormat. Think of freedom, think of peace, you know? And if you keep that at the forefront and you throw your worries over to God and know that natural consequences happen and people will reap what they sow, you'll give up that desire for revenge faster than anything else. The final takeaway and lesson from this video and just the topic of revenge is that justice doesn't disappear, it transfers. And I've been saying this most of the video, and I've had it written down here because what I have learned on my journey and my walk with God and being hurt many times throughout my life and a few times really wanting to seek revenge is that it's important that people walk the life that they desire and at the same time treat people the way that they desire to be treated. I've said it the whole video. What you sow, you will reap. That has been a lesson since I was a young girl. It has been a lesson that my grandmother did her best to instill in me. Do what's right. Has it always been perfect? No. But I believe, looking back, that many of my blessings came because I did my best to do my best by people. So, the justice that you're seeking for the revenge, if you're having those feelings right now, it doesn't disappear justice, it transfers. And it's going to transfer into whomever the justice needs to be served towards in regards to their behavior. And that person is going to have to deal with it. So there's certain things that we don't have to deal with because naturally it's already transferred. There's a thing called spirits transfer, and it's a real thing. That's a different video too. I got a few videos coming, but it's going to transfer to that person. And do we want it? Are we wishing it on them? No, but it will transfer them. It may not look the same, but they're going to look back and say, I know sometimes when I made some mistakes, I could be like, okay, I know where this is coming from. So don't seek revenge, seek peace, seek deeper understanding, and that will bring you to a place of evolving past your situation. So I'm going to leave you guys with that for today. As always, stay fly, stay fabulous, stay focused, stay godly, stay prayed up, stay all the way up, and have yourself a great day.